Hello everyone and welcome back to Ballers Take Flight. On this episode we will be going over the greatest players in the NBA to determine who the GOAT is. Make sure to stay till the end of this video to find out who the greatest of all time really is. If you're new to this channel or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button and smash the like button. Before we start, what does GOAT mean? In the NBA, GOAT is an acronym for greatest of all time. The term GOAT is used in all kinds of sports as an honorable title for the greatest player to ever have done it. When talking about the GOAT, the question is therefore not who is the best player right now, but who is the best player in the history of the sport. Well, that is a hard one, and the NBA obviously does not award any player with a GOAT award, so it is entirely up to the public and all the fans who the actual greatest of all time of the NBA is. Some names that you'll regularly hear in GOAT conversations include Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Most people would probably agree that Michael Jordan is the actual GOAT of the NBA. However, people often tend to see an active player as the greatest because that is what they can relate to most. That kind of makes sense, right? Some fans, especially younger ones, might see Steph Curry as the greatest of all time, as they've never really seen Michael Jordan play. Another factor that favors NBA players from the latest era is obviously the fact that every sport, the NBA included, always evolves. So it might be harder to score 30 points in 2019 than it actually was in 1999. I guess you get the idea. Recently, it was the premiere of The Last Dance, ESPN's 10-part documentary series about Michael Jordan and the 1997 to 98 Chicago Bulls. This then has reignited the Jordan versus LeBron James GOAT debate. But one big-name sports reporter who has covered both his airness and King James throughout her esteemed career says there are a few key reasons why Jordan still sits on the NBA throne, and none of which have to do with championship rings. It's hard to put into words what The Last Dance represented for those of us who grew up on Michael Jordan, or really for anyone who followed or covered him through his prime, because it's hard to put into words what that experience was like in the first place. This was before social media, before athletes had pulled back the curtain on their mortality, exposing themselves as actual flawed human beings. From the mid to late 1980s through the better part of the 90s, the Chicago Bulls superstar was something more than human. In a recent interview with Zach Lowe on his podcast The Lowe Post, veteran NBA reporter Jackie McMullen reaffirmed her belief that Jordan remains the greatest player in NBA history. I love reliving extraordinary careers, and there was none more extraordinary that I've covered than Michael Jordan, McMullen said. The ESPN columnist and widely respected NBA analyst said that Jordan's intensely competitive nature, his ability to put on a show and pack his stat line every time he stepped on the court, helped set him ahead of the pack of basketball icons. His collection of some of the most iconic shots in NBA history certainly doesn't hurt his case either. Jordan was always different than everybody, McMullen said, even when he was young. In an ESPN story published in the lead-up to The Last Dance release, McMullen wrote that having won at least one championship is crucial to a player's consideration in the GOAT conversation. Additionally, she said game winners in clutch playoff situations also carry weight with me. From the shot over Craig Elo during the Bulls' first-round series against the Cleveland Cavaliers in 1989 to his strip-turned jumper in the final seconds of Game 6 of the 1998 NBA Finals, nobody has a portfolio of game winners like Jordan's. Michael could fly, he really could, McMullen said. He could hang in the air forever. I was there when he hit that shot over Craig Elo. He hit the shot and then just hung in the air for what seemed like hours. Part of that clutch gene is tied to Jordan's fierce and well-documented competitive spirit. The six-time NBA champion was notorious for pushing his teammates to the limit and doing whatever necessary to win. McMullen also noted that even amongst the most dominant athletes she has ever covered, only a select few were as relentless in their pursuit of victory as Jordan. I always equate him to Larry Bird in this regard, because they were both ruthless competitors, McMullen said. I would throw Kobe Bryant into that mix as well, and I think not every elite Hall of Fame player is like that. Those three guys in particular were to me. Perhaps for this reason, Bird and Bryant also made McMullen's list of NBA players who should be considered in the greatest of all time debate. Her list also included Bill Russell, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, and Jerry West. Still, of all of those basketball icons, McMullen insisted that Michael Jordan remains the greatest player of all time in my mind. His 6 championships were won in 2 different phases of his career, with rotating supporting casts, she wrote for ESPN. MJ was a dominant offensive player who hit countless iconic game winners, but he was equally frightening on the defensive end, and he was a killer, the most ruthless competition the game has ever seen. From Wayne Gretzky to Michael Phelps, a handful of athletes are considered the greatest of all time. While opinions certainly vary, many people believe that Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time of basketball. Let's have a look at why Michael Jordan is the GOAT in the NBA. LeBron will keep moving up the NBA scoring list, overtaking Kobe Bryant for 3rd place, overtaking Karl Malone for 2nd place, and ultimately probably overtaking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the NBA's reigning all-time scorer, with 38,387 points. Abdul-Jabbar is 6,076 points ahead of LeBron after he scored 31 points during the Los Angeles Lakers' loss to the Denver Nuggets. But by other criteria, LeBron simply cannot overtake Jordan. Criteria that is hard to quantify but must be considered. As Scottie Pippen, Jordan's former wingman with the Chicago Bulls, recently put it, when I look at LeBron, he's not what Michael was as a player. He's not even what Kobe Bryant was as a player. So when you talk about trying to compare Michael's instinct, his ability to take over games, his ability to want to have the last shot, LeBron doesn't have that gene. That's not in him. LeBron has etched a special place in NBA history by, among other things, leading the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016 to their first NBA title, Cleveland's first major pro sports title in 52 years. Off the court, he's been just as impressive, opening an $8 million public school in his hometown of Akron, Ohio, pledging up to $42 million to provide 4-year scholarships for underserved students in Akron, and overseeing a business empire that will be responsible for the sequel of Space Jam, or better titled, Space Jam 2. However, Jordan will always be number 1 for these reasons. His unblemished record in the NBA Finals, 6 appearances, 6 titles. Lest you forget, LeBron is 3-6. For a transcendent skill set and charisma that turned Air Jordans into the most coveted sneakers in history and helped transform Nike into a corporate giant. 4. Upon buying majority interest in the Charlotte Hornets in 2010, becoming the first former NBA player to own an NBA team. Jordan also owned the space at the top of the mythical NBA mantle for greatness, where he simply cannot be overtaken. While it's hard to compare players from different eras, Jordan was dominant in many ways and his influence endures today. Jordan's stats reveal his stellar NBA career. He was named on 10 All-NBA first teams, as well as 9 All-Defensive first teams during his career. The Hall of Famer was an MVP 5 times and became the Defensive Player of the Year in 1988. In addition, Jordan was the NBA's top scorer for 10 seasons. He still has the top career scoring average with 30.1 points per game. In addition to averaging 6.2 rebounds per game, Jordan averaged 5.3 assists per game and shot 49.7% from the floor. With Jordan, the Chicago Bulls went to 6 NBA Finals and won all 6 titles. He was named NBA Finals MVP all 6 times. One impressive finals performance came in 1997 with the infamous flu game. In Game 5 between the Bulls and Utah Jazz, Jordan played through an illness to shock fans and opponents. The series was tied 2-2, so Jordan refused to sit out. After a weak start, Jordan helped the Bulls to a 90-88 win with 38 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. Jordan was known for his competitive spirit and need to win, which made him a dominant player. He had many thrilling performances throughout his career. In addition to the flu game, Jordan had a 63-point game against the Boston Celtics in 1986. Then, in the 98 NBA Finals, Jordan stripped the ball from Karl Malone and sunk a jump shot from the foul line to win the championship. Jordan played with style. He was such a big star that younger players tried to be like him. As Bleacher Report explains, this pushed the sport in a more athletic, one-on-one direction. The game became more focused on scoring and less focused on a team-oriented passing approach. There are many ways to define greatness. Some fans consider someone a GOAT when people continue to respect their athlete and their accomplishments. One demonstration of Jordan's continued popularity involves his shoe sales. Jordan wasn't the first with basketball endorsements, but he did help empower other players to benefit from the lucrative industry. Although the Nike Air Jordan 1 was released in 1985, the Nike Air Jordan 3, released in '88, was the first design to use the famous Jumpman symbol. Today, Jordan is the top NBA earner for his sneakers and apparel, now a Nike subsidiary brand, which earn him $130 million a year. According to Forbes, the Jordan brand sells more than every current NBA player's brands combined. Jordan has also had majority ownership of the Charlotte Hornets since 2010. While many NBA players hold records, Jordan's all-around dominance combined with his popularity secure him the greatest of all-time title. He was the best, he worked the hardest, and he branded himself superbly. Well, that's it for this video. Who do you think the GOAT is in the NBA? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and smash the like button. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching. Catch us in the next video.